Yo.
Hey, what's up? Sorry, everybody.
Things happen.
Things happened. I honestly don't know. I think it might be OBS, in which case, this is the second time this has happened. I'm going to have to look into just OBS as a service altogether and see if I need to switch it up.
Or
because
settings or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it could be settings, but like, it might be OBS. Maybe OBS is just not what it used to be. I don't know. Either way, we're gonna have to fix that. Let me check to make sure the YouTube stream is on, up and working. Up and working.
Oh, there it is.
Yep. Okay, we're good.
Come back, everybody. Probably settings. Let's only hope.
Yeah, because like the thing is, there was one time when this happened, I was like, oh, okay, maybe it's too much going on, because I had the game on. And
hey, Daddy Legs. Encode. And also happened on the Friday stream, exactly. So yeah, we're not too sure.
Yeah, 2 times is too much.
Yeah, once is too much, but hey, sometimes
Agreed.
2 times means we gotta figure it out. You know what I mean?
That way got you? Oh my gosh.
And we back. Exactly. Thank you for coming back, everybody. Thank you so much for sticking with us as we try to troubleshoot these issues that are still a little unknown.
Exactly.
But, we're just praying that it does not happen again, at least during this street before we figure it out.
Precisely.
But yeah, we have to talk. We have things to talk about. Things that need to be said.
Exactly. Let me know how the sound was as well, to make sure that the sound was working. Is the sound good?
Yeah, make sure like one of us isn't too loud, or that's good.
Yeah, because I have this tech issues on. Yeah, it's
talk your talk.
Talk your talk.
Talk your talk.
Yeah, is this good?
Like sound wise.
Is the sound too loud? Loud enough? Just want to make sure. Good. Okay. Awesome.
Awesome.
Okay. So, this is what we'll do. So, we wanted to talk. I was showing Miss Life this. I had this thought because if you were in the stream 2 streams ago, I want to say, I think we talked with Sleepy. No, it was last stream. We talked with Sleepy. She kind of gave us some information about her issues with the story for Wuthering Waves. And then it was interesting because I was talking to Miss Life about it. And on top of that, I was showing her the Not Cry teaser, right? Preview teaser.
Go down just a little bit. That's what Encode said. Just a tad, like 10%.
Nod Cry, an ever-changing landscape of ruin.
Okay.
A marvel corroded.
So this, right? So this is what is, and actually I can just have this playing in the background now.
Yes.
There we go. So we were checking out this, right? Which is the Not Cry thing. There we go. We were checking this out, and the conversation that was being had was that I just noticed something when I was watching this, and it was something that basically had me like kind of blown away that I didn't recognize it. Okay. Does anybody, I don't know, I
pointed this out.
Yeah, Miss Life pointed it out, and I was like, oh, like,
Dallas.
Anybody, by the way, I think you should touch on the fact that some people will just be drawn to fantasy more in a video. I think that's part of the issue people have. Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. Drawn to fantasy specifically versus like...
Can you turn down?
Yeah. I'm going to turn this down, but then turn the actual song up. What they hear up.
Yeah, good, because I'm just like...
Yeah, it's a bit loud.
A little bit loud for me.
There we go. Is that better?
Yeah, it's way better. Thank you.
Okay, so I want to start. I'm going to do like the YouTube thing first. Hey, everybody, how's it going? This is Life. This is Miss Life.
Hey.
We are here to have a conversation, honest conversation about Wuthering Waves and about Genshin. Why? Oh my gosh, this is another one of those videos where they're just gonna talk trash about one or the other, and we're never gonna actually accomplish anything real. My hope is that this is not one of those type of videos in your eyes, because that is not our intention. We want to have a conversation about, I think the biggest thing for this is these are not the same game. And I think that people compare them too much as if they are. Now, I've heard different issues with from different people about both games. And I feel like there's opportunity in the space to have a more kind of mature conversation about it, because the reality is they don't have to be the same game, they don't have to do the same things. But with that being said, there are things I would say that they both can learn from each other. So that's what we're going to talk about today.
Okay. And disclaimer, I have played Genshin up to a certain point. I have not played Wuthering Waves I've played around with Life's account. I've watched him play and watched the story. I gotten into the lore of the story and of the story that is to the forefront now, not just the history of it. So like when I recall certain things about my playthroughs of Genshin, I might not remember certain timelines or certain names, but I can remember sentiments for sure. And where I was with Genshin, and I'll only speak on those things because that's all I can speak on. So that's a disclaimer.
Yeah, I still play both games actively. She has played all the way up until, what was it for Genshin?
Fontaine.
Yeah,
Like
Fontaine.
partway through, and Zolto said this is still too loud.
The music's still too loud? Okay, thank you.
Considering this is discussion.
Got you. Yeah, music's a bit too loud. Got it.
And just let us know if it's good or bad still after.
Yeah, let us know if this is better. Is that better? Yeah, because like the thing is, like there'll be certain moments where it's too loud, and then others. So yeah.
Good now.
Good. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll leave it. We'll
Thank
leave
you,
it like
Verizon.
right there then. So let's redo that then, and I'll do it. I'll try to like summarize what I said. Hey everybody, how's it going? My name's Life,
And I miss life.
and we are going to be having a conversation today. We're going to talk about the stories for both Wuthering Waves and Genshin. For what it's worth, I play both games actively. Miss Life has played all the way up until Fontaine for Genshin, but she watched the story even after that when I played.
Yeah, I watched it.
And then she's watched me once again play Wuthering Waves. I want to stop you before you might think to yourself, oh, this is just another one of those videos where they're going to bash one game and, you know, so forth, so on, and uplift the other. And that is not what this video is about. Hopefully that's not what you get from it. What we wanted to do was have a kind of honest conversation about our thoughts about the games, the direction that they're going in, and kind of maybe some of the things that they could be doing better. I think that both games have some strengths and weaknesses. My eyes are burning. Is there a tissue over there?
Oh, I got you.
Of all the times, right? Thank you.
Yeah. But yeah, the idea is everything has room for improvement, and everyone's experience with those games, regardless of whether they're improved or not, is gonna be different. So we're just gonna have our takes on it. Mine from where I'm sitting. I'm just disclaiming I'm not an expert in either one of these games. I follow the story for both games. I've played one of them up to a certain point, and there are some things from my personal experience that I could kind of bring to the table in terms of opinions, and what I hope for Wuthering Waves. And for Genshin, I might just say that it is what it is with Genshin. But Wuthering Waves is not as far in the story as Genshin is. So I feel like they have a lot more room to grow.
Potential, yeah.
A lot more potential. I feel like Genshin's kind of like, it's kind of like when you get to like 80 years old and you're like, well, I just am this way. That's kind of how I feel about Genshin a little bit.
There's still the opportunity for growth because it is a live service game. So with every update, they have the potential for growth. But yeah.
Yeah, that's just how I feel about it. That's just how I feel about it.
And to be fair, because, you know, she's married to me, this is my wife. She probably knows more about the story than most people do because I talk her head off about it. And that's for both games, to be honest with you. We've sat together, we'll watch the lore videos for Wuthering Way. I mean, for Genshin.
Those were fun days, though.
Yeah.
They were great days.
Great days. Shout out to Ashikai and, Meansliff and all of them. Silicone 14, like all of them. Really, Tavad Historia.
Oh, yeah, Tavad Historia.
Yep. Like some really solid lore creators for that game. And then as well, me being a lore creator for Wuthering Waves, she knows quite a bit about both. Is what we're trying to get at. And so, basically, that's what we're going to talk about today. So, the first thing I wanted to kind of mention, the thing that kind of felt like it really opened up this conversation for me yesterday, was when I was showing Miss Life this trailer. And, we watched this on stream. We watched the live stream on stream. And it's crazy? Can you tell chat how excited I was, like, for the potential to see/play Alice?
You were up to this point, you were just like, can't wait for Alice. Like, oh, Alice, anything Alice related, you were just like, oh, Alice. Like when the summer events happened with Klee and Alice would speak to her through letters or through the little Dodoco phones and things like that. It was just like, oh, getting ready for Alice. I can't wait for her to be playable. And I even like had a dream about what Alice would look like one day.
Really?
Yeah, I literally dreamt, like I woke up, I was like, Alice? Like in my head that was Alice.
That's
right?
crazy.
Yeah, so like the whole ramp up to Alice was definitely getting there. And you know what? Do you want me to continue or?
Oh sure, yeah, go for it.
So when I watched this and they're talking and they brought it up to this point right here, I was just like, so you just gonna casually drop Alice just like that? Like how she looks? Because the reason this is Alice is because of the Dodoco.
Yeah.
That's the only reason And that's how Genshin wanted it. And when I saw that, and Life was just like, oh, I didn't even notice that was Alice. I was like, that's Alice. And I don't care.
Like, okay. And so this is the thing.
Big Klee, exactly.
I like Alice in Wonderland. That's just like that's one of my childhood favorites. I just like the name Alice. My grandmother's name is Alice, right? Like my own grandmother. I just really like the name Alice.
Yeah.
And, Klee's adorable and Alice was built up to be super mysterious.
Yes.
And I'm like, you hear all the lore about Klee being like super strong and all this stuff. And it's just like, oh my gosh, if she's this strong, Alice must be insane, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like super excited for Alice. And then it was crazy to me because like they just dropped Alice.
Yeah.
And I didn't even recognize it. And the reason why this is important is because I think this brings up something about the way that they tell these games. Do gacha games in general, right? Here's the correlation. When I was talking with a fellow content creator, yesterday it was on stream, one of the things that she was saying was that she appreciates how Genshin, they do a lot of teasing in Genshin. Like an insane amount of teasing, like trying to essentially getting you hype, right? Getting you excited for things. They do a really good job of that. Like all of us can say, like sometimes they do a little bit too good of a job, to be honest with you.
Hey, dude.
The reality is, do you remember in Star Rail when they dropped that like enemies trailer, like the Fatui trailer was the big one, right? When Genshin dropped that, and everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, this is insane!" We were all really excited about the Fatui trailer when they showed all the bad guys. We thought we were getting the same thing with Star Rail. Do you remember watching that one with like Duke Inferno and all that stuff? They were like a bunch of people on the ship.
And then only to find out they're dead.
Only to find out that they never show up in the story, and Acheron just
Kills them all.
off screen. She's just off screen.
And you just get a static image to depict the whole scenario.
Okay, like that's why I said like sometimes it's like they're too good.
Death Guard is on it right here.
And so I think they're really good at creating hype. Okay, I think they're really good at creating hype.
And Cynthia said it too.
The thing about it is, though, when you consider the fact that it almost, to me at least, feels like sometimes they create this hype too far out to where it's kind of like, and for some reason I don't know why I don't feel the same way with One Piece, and we were talking about that too.
Because we talked about One Piece, yeah, as a comparison.
Because it's something about the way that Genshin does it, I think, where it's just like you get excited for something, but then it takes so long for the something you were excited for to happen that by the time it happens,
you don't care.
You just might not care as much. And I'm still interested and excited about Alice, but it almost feels like they humanized Alice too quickly. Or not so much humanized. It feels like they made her like... This isn't going to sound good, but it almost feels like they made her less intriguing.
No, they did make her less intriguing.
Because of how long it took. And how... Because the reason why I'm saying this is because usually in these games, right? They will try not to like keep a character in your face for too long when they're trying to hype them up. Right. They'll like pop up here and there, pop up here and there. But they don't want to overstay their welcome before like the excitement is over.
Right. Irma made a good point. It's kind of like when they showed us Aventurine's backstory before his boss fight, which kind of ruined the pacing leading to the boss fight against him. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Like if you had during, but it is so far in advance. Like I guess it still made us feel some kind of way, but I feel like it could have made it more impactful. And I feel like Genshin is not taking full advantage of emotions. Like the emotions that we need to care about these revelational things that they're doing. It's just kind of just stretching it, and then kind of like the drip of it. Like when they first announced Alice, I was really excited for potentially seeing her, and this was so
literally 5 years ago.
Yes, and I'll say another
during
thing.
The first summer event.
Yes, like it was years ago. And
actually, technically before that.
Well, yeah, but here's the thing: years ago, we find out about Alice existing because we know she existed. Yes. But the fact that she's still out there doing some sort of thing where she has to leave Klee behind, that's one thing, and we're just like, oh, we can't wait to find out. And then to keep getting little sprinkles of her, just her voice, or maybe a letter from her, or maybe a gift she left for Klee. Yeah. And just kind of like she's very absentee with like, oh yeah, I promise I'm coming to that baseball game, but here's a toy. Just to hold you over, you know what I'm saying? Like, just, it's cool. I'm coming through. And then we still getting the same dosage of Alice, not even like expounding on it that much. Yeah. Not even getting this like, okay, here's a little bit more. Here's a little bit more. No, it's the same.
It felt like the same interaction every single time.
And then all of a sudden they drop this and it's just a picture. And it's just like, y'all could have just given us Alice.
Yeah, and the concern is that they could do the same with Varka.
The Varka's the same problem.
He's not the same. They told us about him, but we weren't getting like bits of him. Yeah. It's only recently that they're starting to introduce him more. They showed him in this trailer as well.
Yeah, they did show
where they show him the back of his head, right?
It was further up.
Yes, further up. Yeah, right here. So they've shown Varka, right? Okay. We've known about him. Now they're starting to show him. I need this guy to be playable this update. At this point, you know what I'm saying? Like as we're going forward in the future.
Yeah, Daddy Legs is right. I thought Alice was going to be brought into the game similar to the Herta, like right. No, but no, we're still putting a shadow of mystery around Alice, which I think is unnecessary.
At this point,
I think it's just like, okay, even when you don't even see her eyes. Yeah. And it's just like it's implied that it's Alice clearly, but it's just at the same time it's just like, we doing this again?
All right, so now, just for the sake of balance, we're going to switch it over to get to Wuthering Waves.
Yeah, let's do that.
For the sake of balance...
It's just Aventurine, that's not Varka.
For the sake of balance, we're going to switch it over to Wuthering Waves. Because, like I said, I 100% mean it when I say...
We're trying to balance out.
I want to make sure this is balanced, okay? Now, one of the issues that Wuthering Waves has... So, just so we're clear, by the way, I want to emphasize what the lesson of that part of the conversation is. Wuthering Waves, Genshin does really good job at teasing things. At times, however, it feels a little bit too drawn out. And I have a perfect example of that, I guess, with the whole Dainslift stuff. Yeah. And specifically the bedtime stories. I guess we could... Okay.
Can I say something?
Go for it.
So the only reason I say what I say about the Alice situation and just about everything to do with Genshin. I think the problem is the story is broken up into parts, and you're following the different parts separately. So we have the Archon / Nation story that we're following, and then that's basically a new region or major region is announced once a year, and then you play that for a couple months, and then you go on like for the rest of the year with other stuff, which the other stuff will be the summer events with the Hexenzirkel. And then the other things would be Dainsleif, whatever happened with Conria, your sibling, Dainsleif. And then you will just be following those separately instead of as a whole. And so, since they're so far apart and they feel like a bunch of different stories all being spread out throughout the year, like if you put it on a graph and you color coded it, you would just be like, oh, the last time I saw this was like last year. And then even though there's still stuff happening in between, they feel separate. And that's why it's kind of, for me, it's just like, oh my gosh, get to the point.
Yeah. So this is where I think one of the issues with, at least for me, the bedtime stories. Dainsleif is like one of my favorite characters in terms of, because I'm a lore person. He's basically the lore guy of Wuthering Waves, right? And we get the story with him every year. Meaning I'm expecting to get something significant, right? When we got bedtime stories, I felt a little bit like we didn't get much that one, I'm gonna be honest. Bedtime stories felt a little, this is the one where they kind of hype you up with the whole Luma Fate thing, and you know, the Hilly Churl pulling off its mask, which we never actually see underneath, by the way. Like all this like amazing, like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be crazy. This is gonna be, oh my gosh, what the heck? And then it's just like, and then it just feels like when we actually got it the next year, it did not feel like it matched the level of hype. Like, not only did we have to wait a year to actually get it, right, which already can sometimes decrease your excitement, but when we did officially get it, it did not feel like it was that impactful. And I understand that there are lore ramifications that were explained in it, but from a storytelling perspective, it just didn't feel like it hit the way that they were hyping it up.
Well, here's an example of what you're saying. So like, let's just pretend Genshin as a game is actually a channel, and it has different shows on the channel. The Archon Quest is one show, and that show only drops an episode every year, right? And then Dainsleif Quest is a show, and that drops every year, episodically speaking. And then Hexenzirkel is a show, and they drop an episode every year. It's just like, if you only cared about one part of that show, or one show of that channel, or you're following the channel shows as a whole, then it's just like, you're losing momentum, and then only to come back with something that even more so doesn't match the energy of the last episode is very detrimental. Deflating, yes.
Yeah, so that would be what, and I think the thing about it is the way that, I'm not saying that there's a right or a wrong way to do it. We're just saying like what potential downsides of it could be, right? One of those being the way that Genshin does their story. They basically do main story, then you don't see the main story until the next year. It's like 3 months of like full story, and then nothing until 9 months later, practically. I'm being, like, I'm exaggerating a tad, but it's like, but I think it's essentially like the first 3 patches, and then you're essentially waiting, right? With like little bits and pieces of like Lantern Rite events and Windbloom events and Anniversary and a bunch of stuff, and then a summer event until you get to the next place.
Like random festivals.
That's one way of doing a story, right? That's one way in terms of like the main Archon Quest story. Whereas the way that Wuthering Waves does it, they do main filler, at least so far. So far, that's what it seems to be. Main filler. Now, I've heard some people say that they would prefer that it was more similar to Genshin, where they wish it would just get the story out of the way, and then they can wait again until next year. Whereas other people I've heard say they actually prefer it this way because it does extend the excitement. It extends the interest. It's, okay, we're constantly getting main story stuff multiple times throughout the year, so that way you don't feel as much of a disconnect from the story as you continue it. Now, to be fair, it's still early days, right? It's still early days for Wuthering Waves, and we don't know 100% of how they're going to do the story. Like, that's just the reality of it. We don't know 100%. We just know what we know. Based on trends, right?
What about WuWa?
So, with Wuthering Waves, however, right? You said, what about WuWa?
Yeah, I said, what about WuWa? Let's move on to WuWa.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's where we are right now. Yeah, so one of the thing with Wuthering Waves, I guess one of the potential issues that very much has been on a lot of people's minds is how they have approached essentially the characters, which I will 100% say I feel like Genshin has done a better job so far. Well, you know, mind you, Genshin's way further out, right? But one of the things that Genshin has done better at, which Wuthering Waves still has work to do, is the way that they handle their characters. The characters in Wuthering Waves, I do enjoy them, but they don't feel as fleshed out to the same degree. Due to, you know, the lack of companion quests, some people would say. Maybe in other ways, even like the 4-star characters, that's a little bit of a different conversation, though I don't think there has to be 4-star characters, to be fair, but we would enjoy them, obviously. And so with the way that they're currently doing the story, I have to say this. It's not going to be an answer that people want to hear, but my personal opinion, 1.x felt a bit rushed. I will 100% agree 1.x felt rushed. And as a result of it feeling rushed, yeah, there just wasn't as much exposition. And I believe the reason why is because 1.x was really 1.0 to 1.4. It was basically like a prologue, honestly. It was a prologue, and I think they didn't want to spend as much time trying to focus on that versus focusing on 2.0, which in part is probably why they literally gave people the option to just skip straight to 2.0 in this story. And so the real story, in my opinion, the story, everything else was like world building and introducing you to the main character, which is Rover, right? Now that we're in 2.0, however, I think they've done a much better job of expanding on, like I said, who the characters are. I've heard this sentiment as well, like people saying they want more of an ensemble feel, where it's like, you know, don't just focus on one character in Rover, focus on, you know, the whole cast. My personal opinion, I think if you haven't played Chacona's Quest, you should, because they actually showed a lot of promise with that quest, showing multiple characters on screen, showing times where like Rover wasn't even involved. Because the thing is, interestingly enough, Chacona's Quest, it wasn't even about Chacona as much in reality. It was more so about the world. And I felt like it was a really good introduction to it. I think people need to understand this, though. Because Wuthering Waves' story is so early, there's only so much we can say about it. We can technically say a lot more about Genshin because we have more to discuss. Whereas for Wuthering Waves, it's still kind of early, so it's not necessarily as you were saying at the beginning of the conversation, is not as quote unquote cemented as something could be of a story.
Right, exactly.
And so
they have so much further to go. I mean, we're only in the 2-patch series, so it's just like, and meanwhile Genshin is,
and it's not even a true 2-patch series because it wasn't even a year.
Yes. It's accelerated.
Yeah, it was like technically accelerated. But I think the thing is right here that the way they tell the story is different. One game tells the story 3 main patches of story, right? And then you essentially wait till a year. There will be little bits and pieces here and there, mind you. Not say, because obviously you have to have some degree of transition. But it's like, it's pretty spread. It's like main, and then they kind of like give you one more thing on the tail end before the next thing. Whereas the way that Wuthering Waves is doing it, it's kind of like I said, main filler. So I don't think either way is necessarily a bad way to tell a story. I think it's just people have to understand that's how the stories are being told.
Well, I think that's the thing I was about to get to as well, because my thing is, I don't want to compare Genshin to Wuthering Waves in terms of how the story is going out, especially since we have to give Wuthering Waves a lot more grace for not being out as long and still trying to get the story out and build up the intrigue that Genshin's had the 5 years to build up. And I think from where I'm saying, I will just say this. Genshin could have did it differently, and it made me exhausted I got burned out mentally from just caring about like getting excited over stuff that never happened. It never really came to fruition in a way that made sense in a time manner. It just felt like you're just stretching and seeing how far I would go before I snap.
Yeah.
And I think it ran out for me. Like the intrigue ran out for me personally.
Yeah.
Other people might have a higher tolerance for the extended time that it takes, which I'm not a person who has low tolerance. I've been, like we said One Piece earlier, I've been watching One Piece for years. And I've taken, and hiatuses included, like I've watched it and been interested in it even with the hiatus. But when they came back, they brought the heat. They brought the heat when they came back. So it's just, I can't really describe or break down what the difference between my tolerance with Genshin is and my tolerance with One Piece is. I can't really break down that comparison right now. But I think it has something to do with the fact that it was a real slow burn with Genshin. It was like, okay, I'm running out of paper to burn. I'm running out of something.
And that's the thing too. The thing that I've noticed, I do hope that Wuthering Waves, similar to Genshin, is able to include, what is it? More like, I think Wuthering Waves could use some more cliffhangers. With the most recent story, apparently they're breaking it up 2 parts of a story in the same patch. So in essence, like the first, when the game starts, you'll play one part. 6 weeks later, you'll play the next part. And so in a lot of ways, that opens up opportunities for cliffhangers as well. But the way that Wuthering Waves kind of seems to do it right now is they introduce a lot of unanswered questions.
Yeah.
Like Genshin does a lot of cliffhangers, whereas Wuthering Waves will complete the thing in a way that they started, but you're still left with unanswered questions.
Yeah.
They give you a degree of resolution while also having you still wondering, but what about? Like right now it's, but what about the order? You know, like, okay, that happened, but what about the order? What about the Fraxidus?
Right.
It's not so much a cliffhanger that they gave you, but it's a, but
it
what
opens
about?
up another conversation. So here's the thing. You want to build up to something to get closure at some point. But with that closure, it's good to open up more questions that are not fully that thing that you were waiting for answers for. So it kind of is a chain reaction of things. Okay, we got the answer to this, but then this opened up and intrigued me here. And then it's here. But with Genshin, they'll have you asking the same questions. And then they'll make you ask more questions it's a compounding questions instead of, oh, I'm getting answers, but then I'm getting more questions. Oh, I'm getting answers and then I'm getting more questions. It's more like question? No, more questions. Oh, a lot more questions. Okay, I have something else to think about. Questions? No, more questions. I'm like, where are the answers?
Where are the answers
I just need the answers to some of these things. I don't need it all given to me all at once. But if I have a question and then your answers to throw questions at me, then I'm just like, okay.
Yeah.
And I really was at the point of like the Kari Bear Dainsliff quest. I was like, okay, I was intrigued. Okay, I get this. Okay. We don't have to answer the chasm questions that we still need to answer because they're bringing it back up in this, because they were still kind of bringing in the cavern situation, but didn't answer it back then when it first came up. But okay, maybe they'll answer some of those here. They didn't. They didn't. And then it made me wonder more about the Loom of Fate, and then Kari Bear and Clothar, and I was just like,
Clothar.
Yeah. And I was like, cool, but we don't. If they had answered some of the cavern questions there, Chasm, any of those, I might have been like a little bit more like, okay, at least I can concentrate now on this new thing instead of thinking too much about the old things.
I see where you're coming from.
It's overstimulating.
And the thing is, you're like the type of person who enjoys like games, like she likes those type of games where you like complete tasks.
Oh yeah, I love completion of tasks. And you're just making me like, look, I have unopened tasks from before, and then you're throwing more tasks at me. And now my brain space is now being occupied by more things because I have unresolved questions over here from the first patch. I have unresolved questions here. And then you just opened up a new story that talked about those previously unresolved things, but then you put more stuff on top of it. It's like if you had a chore list and you never finished any of the chores. It's like ADHD. With the story, it's just like, I have a pile of laundry I'm supposed to get to. Oh, but I can't do that until I do this. Oh, I can't do that until I do this.
Yeah, I got you.
And it's too much for me personally.
All right, let's check out some of the comments now. And I think, because this is our first time doing something like this, so I think what we'll do going forward, if we ever have a conversation like this in the future, we'll approach one part of the conversation, then check comments.
Right.
Then we'll approach another part of the conversation.
So for some completion, you know what I'm saying?
For some completion, exactly. For the people who ask questions. So WuWa would also benefit if they approach the same way as Genshin. Yeah, like, I'm not saying that there's a wrong way to do it, but what I will say, obviously, the real answer here is everybody really wants a main story quest practically every patch. Let's just be honest. Nobody likes filler. Let's be like 100% honest. Nobody likes filler. But what I will say though is this. Personally, I think the way that Wuthering Waves is doing with main filler, I do like that. Because, like I said, it does extend things a little bit more. And it makes it to where, like I said, for me at least, you can keep the hype the whole time.
Thank you, Themba. I was thinking the same thing. One Piece filler is peak. That's the only filler I'm okay with. Peak.
Honestly, it actually is pretty good. One Piece's filler is not as bad.
How are they doing this? Magic.
Yeah.
Everyone else.
Shout out to my boy Bartholomew Kuma.
Literally, that is a prime example. We had no closure about Kuma at all, and all of a sudden they bring him back. They don't pile too many more questions on you until they answer. I think
the reason why is because there's a difference between trying to make something mysterious forever versus slowly opening up more. Yes. And that's the difference. Like, I'll tell you this much. I think Days Lift is actually a better example of good good exposure. Mm-hmm. Because with Days Lift, we only see him once a year, but every time we see him, he does give us something new, usually. Last time, not so much. But usually we learn something new about him, is my point.
No, because I remember, like, when we were asking Days Lift questions in the chasm, and he was basically giving us nothing else, just like...
Well, yeah, he didn't give us anything, but the story exposes it. Yeah. Because we ended up learning about, like, his past with his people, the knights, you know what I'm saying? Or, you know, like we learned about him even if he didn't tell us himself. Yeah. So I will say that I think Days Lift was actually a good example, as opposed to, like I said, Alice, where she just remained, mysterious the whole time, basically. And we had the exact same interaction with her for like 3-4 years in a row, basically. Right.
I'm gonna say hi to Master of All Elements.
Hey, what's up, Elements? How you doing? JDX Blade. I do play Zenless. I've been a little bit busy, so I haven't played 2.0 yet. I stopped playing around the time of Caesar. I enjoy Zenless' storytelling. I think some of the fan service is a bit much for me. But I do enjoy Zenless' storytelling. I've heard some interesting things about 2.0. I stopped playing story-wise, right? I didn't do Miyabi's story. So I have to do like Miyabi's story and kind of go. But, so yeah, obviously, I missed quite a bit. But yeah, I do play Zenless. Mm-hmm. And the way that their story at least had been up to this point, I thought I enjoyed it. It felt like Saturday morning cartoons for me personally. Mm-hmm. And it also felt like they weren't trying to waste my time, which is how I felt with Star Rail. But yeah, that is what it is. It's because WuWa takes longer to close a storyline that they can't have proper character interactions.
They take longer?
Like Genshin. I can't imagine the Septimont cast having interactions in 2.5 filler. Wait, is it because WuWa takes longer to close a storyline that they can't have proper character interactions like Genshin? I'm confused.
They take longer?
I'm about to say they actually take a shorter time.
Yeah, for me it felt like it was faster because the thing is, like, when we were talking about this Thornodian theory that you came up with, you made a video about it, and you and I were talking back and forth about it. Yeah. It did not take me long for Wuthering Waves to actually tell us what was up.
Yeah, but I say most people would say, maybe you wrote that a little bit off, because most people would say the opposite. Most people would say, oh, the story is just like, it starts and ends, and people wanted it to take longer, actually.
Right, and then to have more character interactions in the middle of it, but it was over, you know what I'm saying? So I think you might have that, I don't know, it just sounds a little bit like you meant the other way around. Yeah. Because for Genshin stretches things so long, for instance, alternatively, that they are able and willing to squeeze more character interactions in there. Mm-hmm. Because since Wuthering Waves is more expedited, it's just like,
yeah. And just for me personally, the way that Wuthering Waves does their filler, if you're somebody who actually cares about the story, the filler of Wuthering Waves is actually good. If you just take a second to think about 2.1. In 2.1, we got the Man in the Whale, which was cool. We got the Alvarado Volt quest, which was also solid. And we had a side quest that some of y'all might not even done, where Phoebe's literally out there in the open world. It's called Raguna Holiday. And you can literally talk to Phoebe about her opinions on everything that's happening. Now, I think because Phoebe's a really big point in the story that a lot of people are curious about, like how is she going to react when she figures out that the Order's basically been playing everybody, right? I think the thing about it is Wuthering Waves, when it comes to characters, they do exposition on the characters. I just think it's not the way that people want it to happen.
I think there's a lot of grace for them still to even like go further. Like, if I feel like they're giving us doses of this character thing earlier in this part of the game, but who's to say they won't come out with a more explicit like character interaction story or character story than what we've already experienced? And I think that's the thing. We haven't seen too many like examples to be so like, oh, this is them.
Yeah, and that's the thing I was trying to tell people too. Yeah, once again, I 100% will agree with you. 1.1 was rough, okay? 1.0. Now, mind you, I enjoyed 1.0, and I think a lot of people actually enjoyed it, but they ended up leaving it still kind of feeling like, man, I did like this, but this seems like a bit of a downfall or like a pitfall, potentially. And if it keeps going in this direction, that could become an issue for the story long term. And I would agree. But like I said, I think 1.0 was, as I said, 1.x actually. It was a tad bit rushed. You know, like it was a tad bit rushed, and
Phoebe.
Phoebe?
Yeah, Phoebe.
Phoebe Choopy.
Phoebe.
Okay, I was gonna go to Shang Liao to mix it up a little bit, but
No,
I got
Phoebe.
1.1 was Speak. No, yeah, legit. It was good. I'm just saying, in terms of some of these things that people want improvements on, with like I said, just kind of the more ensemble feel of things. But what I will say is this, though. Rover is the main character. This is a main hero type of story. And if you're not a fan of the, main hero type of story, that might also just be your problem. Maybe this just isn't the type of story that you enjoy.
Right.
Now, that doesn't mean that we will never get interactions in the future, and that's not something that can be improved. But it does mean that it's just like you have to, if you're okay, if you can come to terms with the fact that it's that type of story, right? If you can come to terms with that. And like I said, I think Chacona's Quest was a great example of them improving on the character interactions that don't include Rover. But do, like I said, understand Rover probably will be like 50% at the very least of, probably more like 60 to 65% of interactions.
Can I say something? And you can skim over comments while I say this, but I will say that I don't think I've seen this in Genshin. I could be wrong. If anyone in the comments can bring up a point where this is similar to what I'm about to say, feel free. When we looked at Chacona's story, it gave us a segue into Septimont, which I have not seen in a story, like a reason for us to go somewhere new. In a character quest. And I appreciated it. It was just like, okay, we're fugitives, we gotta go somewhere else. Instead of just like, usually when a new story opens up, Paimon's like, hey, did you hear that this place is like just around the corner?
Oh yeah, just like some random.
Just go here. And Paimon just pops out of nowhere and she's like, hey, we should go this way. Instead of like, there's a real story reason. Like, even though it was like an optional story quest, it was cool to make that really important for why we go to Septimont.
Okay, now I'm gonna have to push back a little bit here.
Go for it.
Because Genshin does give you reasons.
I did open myself up to that correction.
Yeah, for sure. And you also acknowledged that at the very beginning too of the conversation.
Now we're gonna also have this exactly.
Yeah. Like there are reasons. Genshin does give reasons. Like for example, whatchamacallit, I mean, I guess the overall reason is just, we're trying to find our sibling, supposedly.
Why don't we even go to Notland? Exactly.
Why don't we even go there? Because it's another Archon, basically.
Literally, the only reason is because of this reason we even started this quest. We got to talk to all the Archons to find your sibling.
So, yeah, for some reason, that's the
underlying reason from 1.1 or 1.0. Like,
it's just like, oh, I don't know anything, but maybe the Pyro Archon knows something.
Why would she know?
It's a pretty simple formula in essence.
Why would they make it an optional story if when it teases the next region?
Would they make it an optional story? Oh, so yeah, no, that is a fair point. Some people would say, now this is what I will say, JD. Excuse me. It teases the next. I don't think that's the issue, that it teases the next region. I think it feels like it seems like it's a main story quest. Why would you make Chacona's event not just call it an interlude instead of making it an event?
But we don't know how they're going to.
I know what you're going to say.
Introduce it when it actually
we don't know
comes
how
out.
they're going to introduce 2.4. Maybe they introduce 2.4 in such a way that it's not necessary, that we. Chacona's quest, as good as it was, might still be appropriate to be called optional, because it is possible that they could introduce 2.4 in a way that rectifies that gap.
Right.
We'll have to see.
Or they just call back from that story. They could take a chunk from that story and then just make it part of the intro for 2.4 as well. Like they can
Say it again?
that ending part of Chacona's.
No, yeah, I thought about that
become
too,
a
yeah.
chunk of the beginning of that. They basically like, if you're like kind of like a preview from an episode, like, hey, this is what we're gonna do, and they just kind of play it off and like kind of reattach it to the beginning of 2.4. They could do it that way as well, or they can come up with a different.
Dark Star, I see your comment. By the way, I see you all's comments, just so you know. Even if I don't say something, I do see your comments. I hope you're wrong, by the way, Dark Star, about Zenless. I really hope you're wrong.
Right. Right. And then Discard said, I think our sibling basically told us to travel the world and find the truth for yourself, which makes going to Notland a very weak reason.
I mean, listen.
We were doing what we were told.
Yeah, our sibling told us. I think that's fine. Like, of course, we're going to travel. I personally think it's fine. Just like
Darkstar said, no, I keep up with the news.
The news.
No
I
hope.
wish I was wrong.
No hope. Stop hoping.
I'm actually liking ZZZ right now, so I hope so too. Yeah, I mean, I've heard some differing opinions on 2.0. Once again, like I said, I think ZZZ had a relatively strong start as far as the story is concerned. 2.0 might not be the best, but 2.1 hopefully will be. To be honest, this goes into a whole nother conversation just about gachas in general, where it's like, I just personally am of the opinion that 2.0, not 2.0, gachas in general don't have a whole lot more room to be slacking.
Honestly,
There are way
fair.
too many good gacha or like high quality gacha games. Well, yeah, high quality as well. But there's way too many like high quality.
Wait,
Yeah, you can go. Oh, Carlotta, just go Carlotta. Nope, there he is.
Too late.
Oh
Too late for you.
no! There's way too many high quality games coming out to just slack at this point.
Yeah.
Silver Palace, Arknights Enfield, Neverness to Everness, whatchamacallit, Ananta, Duet Night Abyss, Unending Dawn. I don't know if that's actually a gacha though, so I don't know. But like, there's just way too many, and people are gonna have too many choices to where it's just like, you guys, if you're not prepared to like really, fight for that market share, basically.
Right.
You might end up losing it. Azure Promilia, yep.
Welcome to Stream Stretch. Hello.
Hey, what's up, Stretch? How you doing? 2.0 felt long and drawn out for Zenless.
Oh, I was like, someone said that they liked.
I'll be streaming at Dark Star. I'll be streaming it.
Discard said, I like how WuWa did it better. Oh, Abby's sick. We could go to the Land of Echoes to heal him and ask the Sentinel.
No, yeah, I'm from reason, like in terms of reasoning, it seems very appropriate, right? And the entire region very much is. It wasn't just some like cop out thing. It's like, oh no, like let's legit is the Land of Echoes.
Well, we
It
could have
wasn't
gone
just
somewhere
convenient.
else for all that. You know what I mean? Like if it was really just, oh, we got to travel the world, like which we do have to do to seek all the Sentinels. But the reason we went to Ren and Sita in general, like first,
Yeah.
is because of Abby.
Yep.
And they put out that story element instead of like, let's just mosey on over to the next landlocked area or on the road. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like I said, for me, I don't mind it too much. The reason why we go to a place.
Yeah.
It's nice to have one, but I do personally, I'm okay. Because, like, obviously I know we're going to go a bunch of different places. What I care more about is how well the thing in the place is done.
Yeah.
Their QOL needs QOL. Oh my gosh. Oh, it's funny seeing Genshin finally make QOL improvements since WW's release. Yeah, like I said, man, at the end of the day, you gotta speak with your wallet. And to be fair, even with Wuthering Waves, don't slack.
No, for real.
Do not slack
Please
up
don't.
because don't let them get too comfortable at the end of the day. I mean, the hope, right? The hope is that they I mean, we've seen progress, right? In my opinion, I think Wuthering Waves has very much invested back in their game. One thing I always do say though is I know there's a lot of people like with the, you know, we want more males conversation, right? I want more male characters too, personally. But the reality is, I can still play the game even if we don't get more.
But it'd be nice.
But it would be nice.
It would.
But the thing is, if it doesn't happen, and I always say wait till 3.0, I know that sounds like, oh, that's all so far away. But the reality is 2.0 was done when the game came out practically. Like, they were... It won't take long. They were practically done with 2.0 when the game came out, in terms of like writing the story and all that stuff. And so, as a result of that, the feedback that they got toward the end of 1.3, right, is likely not going to be implemented until like 3.0, essentially.
So, welcome, Dreep. Hello. You said that Goro's also working on another game called Project Nami, but I
heard about that.
But also, I want to stretch beat me to it. Competition is great for all the games. Exactly. Now, Wuthering Waves coming out like last year versus Genshin being kind of undefeated, like kind of unopposed for many years prior. Now that you had said that, and like someone in the comments said it, you said it. Genshin's quality of life went up after Wuthering Waves came out, which goes to show you all that competition is healthy, which helps to kill complacency, which is what would kill the game if you had complacency. Let's be real, like if a game was so comfortable, oh, they're gonna love us anyway, quality of life won't be a thing. Oh, the amount of money you spend on skins will not be reasonable. It won't be competitive. Like the thing is, the games need to stay competitive, and what does competition do to anything? I mean, look at places like Walmart and Target and things like that. This is like, oh yeah, they have competition with each other, so they try to beat each other out with prices or with the quality of their products. So
gas stations.
Yeah, gas stations. So like, this is healthy for both games. Having these conversations is healthy for both games, and making these comparisons is not to take away or distract from them at all either. And we all have our opinions. Like the way I experience Genshin storytelling might have been a little like burnout for me, but it might not be burnout for somebody else, and that's totally fine. Like if you enjoy what you enjoy, but also hold people accountable who are developing these games. Definitely hold them accountable. Just saying like, hey, you know what would have been great if you hadn't like made this a limited time event where you explained this very integral to the story situation, because then you're forcing us to be engaged 24/7 just to get what we believe we deserve as a player, which is closure for the story.
And I will say, like, so that was a big issue, like with the Fault in Our Stars for Genshin. I believe that's what it was called, Fault in Our Stars. I wasn't even playing when that came out. I had to watch it. Like
we watched it on YouTube.
We watched it on YouTube. Like, we're invested. And like I said, at least Chacona's quest is permanent. Now, I would be a hypocrite if I didn't acknowledge Wuthering Waves pulled a Fault in Our Stars with Shangli-Ao's quest. I really hope they address that at some point.
They did, I will say.
Because Shangli-Ao's quest is no longer in the game. And so that's a bit disappointing, honestly. Yeah. Like, I know he's not going to be free for everybody.
Stars, thank you.
Unreconciled Stars, thank you. The Fault in Our Stars. What is that?
He said it's a John Green book.
It's what?
A John Green book.
Oh, that's a John Green book?
Listen, life gets, like, really mixed up with terms.
Oh my gosh, that's a John Green book. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, Unreconciled Stars.
That was triggering something in my head too. I was like, Fault of Our Stars.
The Fault in Our Stars. My bad. And his quest was also mentioned in the Avenolium card. Yeah, exactly. That becomes an issue. Like, I think, honestly, Shangli-Ao's quest, for people who enjoy lore, is like an extremely important quest. Because they talk about the science of the world, which, you know, has to do with the lament and how everything got flipped upside down except for gravity, which is very similar to quantum physics.
Right. But
Shangli-Ao's quest is the only really relevant to him, though, so I don't think it's a bit different. No, it's not. Shangli-Ao's quest isn't relevant to him only. Because what we ended up learning is, if you remember those cutscenes that showed inside the lab, where they were talking about like the dude who literally is responsible for how they learned about like new technology and stuff.
Oh, he said Mortefi tells you the same thing
as Shangli-Ao's quest.
Well, that's good. That's a little bit of a
tells you the same thing
of a redeemable part. But I think Shangli-Ao's quest expounds on that more, right, Jason?
Yeah, there's some information that more if I don't believe he tells you that information.
But I think the bottom line is, I feel like regardless of which game we're talking about, I think it's best or more courteous to your players to not put major story themes in limited time events. So Unreconciled Stars, I was talking about this last night.
Truth be told, Unreconciled Stars is more important to the world than Shang Liao's quest.
It is.
I do acknowledge that. But just in general, the stuff that was shared, it was still some it was extremely nerdy, and literally 0.1% of the fan base really would have probably cared about it. But yeah.
Would Shingla's companion quest was like an interlude to 1.3? Oh, would you say?
No, not even close.
Okay.
Not in the slightest, actually. No.
Yao needs to be upgraded to main character in the main story, way more relevant compared to some painter. Ooh! Oh, the some painter!
Hey, look, I don't appreciate that.
Oh, the slander! I'm some painter.
I'm about to say, she's some painter. This is so Jeja is one of my favorite characters, in part because she reminds me of Miss Life. Miss Life is also a painter, and her color scheme as well is basically like your entire life.
Not my entire life, but definitely a chapter, like a big chapter.
Like, I met Miss Life in literally pastel colors, like the greens, the pinks, like we have like her clothes even. Same thing. Right,
I agree with this, but at the same time, wouldn't limited events be a little more boring without lore relevancy? I get that.
Okay, I see what you're talking about.
But if they had been in the story more and then maybe like played to a little bit more in the limited events rather than just be introduced in a limited time event, I would be more forgiving. Because the thing is, it's one thing to play on it in a limited event. It's another thing to be like, hey, this thing that we're going to introduce in a limited event, but then make a part of the mandatory gameplay. And I'm making this example right now. Unreconciled Stars. Scaramouche says the sky is a lie.
Yeah, the sky is a lie, yeah.
And we're with Mona, the astrologer, and we're just like, okay, what does that mean, right? But that was something we didn't know about because we hadn't played the game, and we had to go back and look at it, basically, as people who came in at that time. And then when we get all the way to Notland, at the end of the story, and Malvika does that big old final finisher move.
And it's not even just the sky is the lie, by the way. It's the sky is the lie, as well as the fact that basically a fruit of Irminsul fell.
Exactly, right.
Which is like, not only did we learn he said the sky was alive, but something fell from the sky that looked like a star that wasn't.
Exactly. So he says all that stuff. And then years later, we get to the end of the Notland War situation. Moika does her power move, and then it breaks the sky. And we see this crack in the sky. And we see pieces falling. And we're just like, what? This is it? We're here now. Okay. But like, again, nothing was said about it. And then they had another side quest where you follow this boy's story. Like his parents were telling him his story or something, and they're just following the stars, and there's like these pieces in the ground. And honestly, I didn't get a lot of closure from that.
Master of Elements, just for clarity, that was introduced before Shang Liao's quest. The whole everything being different except gravity, that was introduced before Shang Liao's quest. Just to answer that note, we've been known it was alive forever, but until now it still is all we know about the sky. Mavuika breaks the sky yet again. We know the sky is alive.
Yeah, exactly. We're back to the same conclusion. Oh, it just proved the point what Scaramouche was saying earlier. It's like, well, we didn't think he was lying. Why would he be lying? And now it's just, proof. But we didn't need the proof. We needed the reason. We need to know why it's like this at this point, but we don't know anything. And then even with the side quest that came afterwards, we still don't know. We're none the wiser. And that's the kind of stuff of closure
to be fair,
that I don't like.
In the main story, technically, we don't know. Now, reason why I said that is because I still have to play the volcano part.
Okay.
Where you go inside the volcano.
Right.
I don't know if that matters. The sky looks cracked inside there, but it's not the actual sky. I don't know if that expounds on it because I still have to play that part.
If I know Genshin, it doesn't. I'm sorry.
This is just make them permanent events since it's a system the game does have. Yeah, and so that's the thing, too. I think a lot of this would be helped if these events were just made permanent.
Like a archive of them you could just kind of go back to, or go like, I wish they would archive. And in particular,
one thing I will say, because Genshin did this in their most recent live stream, I think they officially have it to where you can choose what to take out of the game.
Sorry, Lux said it. And I already said
Volcano doesn't make too much of a difference to us, that specifically, to be honest. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so basically, I know Genshin is doing this. I hope Wuthering Waves will do this too in the future, where they can essentially allow you to erase some of the in-game assets. So it's like, okay, if you don't want to keep the permanent quests, you don't have to. Right. I think Star Rail does that already as well. So if more games adopt that, and see, this is what I'm talking about when I say all these new games need to come correct. Like, they need to come with like all these features out of the box. I need to be able to download and, you know, like, or delete assets if it's too big for my device that I have it on, whether it's my PlayStation, my phone, my iPad, or my PC. They need to come out the box, in my personal opinion, with sweep features, meaning like when you're farming for materials, you just click ×3 and then you just do it all in one button push. Because like I said, with all these games coming out, eventually it's going to be too much.
It's a lot.
Like, it's going to be too much, and nobody's going to be able to keep up with all of them. And as far as I understand it, at least, I just don't see how you're going to be able to, like, appeal to the exact same fan base, still make the money that you're trying to make, when all these other games are out there and people are interested in trying other things. It's just like, I feel like you have to make these things player friendly.
I think they're going to have to evolve all these games. Now that there's more of them coming out, they're going to have to evolve their style of delivering these stories, because people only have so much attention and time to give to these and still understand and ask these questions for themselves. Like, Genshin is trying to get us to ask these questions for the intrigue and just try to keep these things at the top of your mind with clues every once in a while. But at the same time, it's taking up so much mind space. It's just like, instead of just explicitly telling me stuff, you keep alluding to things. Like when who was it? Was that Lux?
By the way, yeah. Blue, you don't have a dumb question. I'll answer it.
Yeah, but Lux, like you're saying, like this dragon lore and ancient civilization stuff does link to primordial one and reasoning behind heavenly principles doing, but it's never explicit. I need explicit stuff sometimes. It doesn't
eventually.
But the thing is, I feel like it's going to give us a big old uppercut at the end of the story. Like, here's everything you've ever asked questions for, and at this point, I don't care.
Oh my god!
I might not even get there. I might not get there. Like, when I watched that trailer last night, I was just like, and I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was like I'm excited about Genshin. Listen, I am still excited about Genshin. Everybody,
I want to be.
Now, this is what I was saying. All right, I'm gonna get into my I'm gonna answer some questions, and then we're gonna get into the Genshin Hope Core part of the stream.
Hey, Nerded Up.
Hey, what's up, Nerded Up? How you doing? Genshin anime dead at this point. Oh my gosh.
Don't even talk about it.
So all the laws of physics have changed except gravity. Gravity is the last remaining of the old laws. Yeah, so the reason why they're saying is like gravity still technically works as intended. That was the point they were making. So technically, just because something is inverted doesn't necessarily mean it's not like gravity isn't working. I guess it is the idea, like, specifically based on laws. So it's like, okay, for example, just because gravity changes doesn't mean the law is messed up. Does that make sense? It's kind of like if you were in a place, the tab?
Sorry.
If you were in a place where, like, they had, like, I don't know, they could, like, simulate gravity to make it, like, you know, lift you up or make it heavier, kind of like the place where, like, Goku trains.
Yeah.
The law of gravity is still working, just because it doesn't mean it's not working just because it changes, if that makes sense. I believe that's essentially how it's explained. Hanging in there? Nice.
Good.
Let me see. All right. I think I answered that.
If you have a pertinent question that we might have missed, feel free to reinsert it.
Yeah, or put at Life Lessons if it's like a really important question specifically directed to us.
Yeah.
And that way we won't miss it. What other laws of the world have changed besides gravity? Everything else.
What about the rain? Are we talking about Wuthering Waves, correct?
Yeah. Okay, so they said rain? Every single law, and this was what Shang Liao's quest talked about. Like I said, I really want them to bring it back because it was interesting. But basically, every law besides gravity changed. This is why all the scientists with Shang Liao's quest were so annoyed and angry because of that reason. They were annoyed and angry because when they try to actually, science requires the ability to replicate things, right? Because you want to do experiments. And in order to do experiments, you to tell like to say, okay, this is an observable fact, right? In order to do that, you need to have something that is replicatable, so you can see, okay, if I do this 1,000 times or 1,000,000 times, will the same thing happen? And the problem was for them that as they were trying to do science back in the day, and it wasn't even that far back in the day, to be honest, like a couple of years ago even, because all the laws had changed and the limit kept changing things. Not even just it changed one time and now it's new. It would continually change. And so it basically made all of their prior hypotheses about the limit null and void because it would just switch up on them. So that's kind of what that means. Yeah, they were so angry. It was mentioned in the Shorekeeper quest too. Yeah, I think they did mention it in Shorekeeper's quest after the fact. So if you miss Sheng Liao's quest, then you will still learn about it. It was just they visually showed it in Sheng Liao's quest. But
Thank you, online resident. Sheng Liao looks like a K-pop idol. No, he really does. I'm staring at him like.
Yeah, he does. He looks cool, man. I like him.
I really like, and I like purple. Like purple's one of my favorite colors. So I was just like, the silver and purple is killing right now.
By the way, Neverness to Avernus and Silver Palace. Yes, I will be playing those. I'll be streaming both. I'm probably gonna make a video about NTE. I mean, I made one video about NTE. It's like my last video, I think, on this channel. But yeah, I have a Wuthering Waves video coming out soon before 2.4, like a lore Wuthering Waves video, life lessons video. But yeah, I'll be playing NTE. I'll be playing Silver Palace. For the most part, I'll be trying all of them out. I will say Arknights Enfield I'm probably the most excited for, just because I hear that it's like the Arknights community really enjoys story and lore. So, you know, I want to go where my people are. But I will be trying. I like the fact that with Silver Palace, you're a detective, just like my, detective life thing.
He said, Tin said, Sheng Liao looks like Anna Kyoji from Classroom of the Elite.
Yes,
kind of a little bit, yeah.
He very much does.
Realizing that gravity remains the same is the key to freeing Shorekeeper. What's that? I don't know that part. So humans in WuWa made out of flesh like us, or are they just frequencies? That's what Discard said.
Yeah. Oh, are the humans in Wuthering Waves? That's the question?
Yeah, like are the humans in WuWa made out of flesh like us, or are they just frequencies?
Frequencies. So all, like, the DNA of human beings got changed.
Oh, I remember correctly. Thank you.
Yeah, the DNA got changed. That's essentially what happened.
There's all the frequencies.
What used to be DNA is now frequency. But it's so in my lore video, if you haven't watched it, Beginner's Guide to Wuthering Waves Lore, it's on the channel, on the YouTube channel. Just go to playlist and do my playlist. That's where everything's gonna be. Because I'm gonna be doing videos for other games as well. Expedition 33 is a game that I already started working on. Just, games in the future, what have you. So to make sure that you can easily identify stuff, go to playlists. And so it's interesting because in this game, they are all frequencies. But the reality is there have been theories in like real life, in particular one called string theory, that they basically said like they took molecules, right? And they used what are they called? The thing that you look at
Microscope?
Oh yeah, it's a microscope. It's still, I was thinking there was like a special name for it or whatever. But same exact name as the one they use for space, I guess. But,
that's a telescope.
Oh gosh, I'm tripping. Okay. IRL life tripping. But anyway, point is, a microscope, if you go down to the molecular level, when they try to like study like, our molecules and stuff, the smallest thing they could go to is what looked like a tiny little string vibrating. Oh, shoot. Right? And so this is where this idea that everything in the world is actually, in the universe, is made up of strings. Tiny vibrating strings. Right. It's called string theory. And so the fact that like the idea of like, frequencies, everything's made of frequencies now, even in the like, when the space lady, right? The pretty space lady, she shoots Rover onto Sol 3. You basically go through like what looks like the sound barrier or something. I don't know. It's just a bunch of like cascading frequencies going crazy. Yeah.
Online resident said, I read a theory somewhere that Solaris could be a sonorosphere too. What do you guys think?
I think it's possible.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think it's 100. I mean, some people think Solaris is a sonorosphere. Other people think it is a simulation. Yeah, but I think it could be. I think it could very well be a sonorosphere. Obviously, it's extremely early and hard to tell, but I think it's very much possible.
Cynthia says something cool. As we know, in real life, matter cannot be created or destroyed. That law, it was gone, as that's what havoc does.
Yeah, you're right, Cynthia. That's actually really good. The existence of the concept of havoc, because havoc is like, it's like dark, like antimatter, in a sense, right? Like it literally annihilates things. And so this idea, like, oh yeah, nothing can be created or destroyed. Like, nope, things can destroy. And it actually makes you wonder about where they could go in the future of the story, because if havoc is a thing, the big bosses, I mean, Dreamless being a havoc, right? It's just like they could really kind of screw some things up.
I think Discard said something in response like, oh, so when say everything got changed, that means everything, huh? Like the whole elemental table got changed. And the destruction of the core's matter is what freed SK.
What about Solaris 1 and 2? What happened? Yeah, the question is it named 3 because it's like the third try? Or is it named 3 because of like the sun, which would make it Earth?
Yeah.
I kind of alluded to that a little bit.
Your beginner's lore guide.
But yeah.
I hope they don't go with simulation. It is very cliche storytelling. Right.
That is very interesting, to be honest. Yeah, it is.
Could the golden light thingy that Lucia goddess gave to Rover in the beginning be a sonorosphere
where Abby is housed in? I think it's very possible. I think the thing about it is that introduction scene, right? We don't actually know when it happened.
Yeah.
Like, truthfully, we don't know when that takes place, time-wise. Jue tells us that they are not familiar with Abby. Like, they did not, like, Jue clearly, what is it? Jue noticed Abby. Like, oh, that thing in your hand.
Like, what is that thing?
Like, so it kind of made me think that Abby wasn't there the first time when we were with Jue. And so, yeah, like, it could be possible that cause basically, like, you know, she put Abby in there, basically. Now, Abby could have existed in a different form beforehand, but yeah, it
Side note.
follows.
Side note, I feel like I'm on a date with Chang Li right now.
You do?
Yeah, the way he's like looking at us like, hi.
You're playing a game of Wei Chi.
Yeah.
Totally.
It's just the way she's looking at us.
I know.
Hello.
Hey,
Solace.
what's up, the lights, my Solace? How you doing?
Do you think there are other worlds such as Solaris 3 and name? Like, yes. So basically, that's what it implies. Dark Star. No, wait. Who said it? Lux said it. It is a loading. It says on the loading screen it's because it's the third from the sun. So that's what.
Yeah,
it says
exactly.
About
Yeah.
Solaris 3.
No, yeah, and I remember that Lux Shorekeeper said that Abby's been with us for like a long time, which kind of had me wondering, like, if Abby's been with us for a long time, but Jue is only just noticing Abby, then what does that mean?
What does that mean?
Like, it's kind of like, I mean, not to say that Jue has to be omnipotent or anything, but at the very least, Abby, maybe unless Rover was intentionally hiding Abby.
Jue is just a baby confirmed.
Is just a baby confirmed? Oh my gosh.
You weren't born
Didn't Shorekeeper
yet.
exist before the Lament? No. Shorekeeper did not exist before the Lament. Shorekeeper was created using the Tethys system, actually. Shorekeeper was created using the Tethys system.
Maybe Abby had a different form. That's a possibility.
Yeah, I feel like that's also possible.
Maybe they existed outside of us for a while.
Yeah, that was my theory, actually. My theory is that Abby existed outside of us. To be honest, my theory is that Abby is in a condensed form of themselves right now. Like, once Abby goes full power mode, Abby might change altogether. Maybe turn into like I don't know. Like, imagine, like, you know, those saber-tooth looking monsters in Mount Firmament?
You talking about the cats?
Yeah, they're like big cats.
Yeah, the cats.
Yeah, like maybe, I don't know, Abby turns into something like that.
I think Abby might be playable in the future.
That's a crazy statement.
That's a crazy
but who
thing to
knows?
say. Yeah, who's SK?
Shorekeeper.
Oh, Shorekeeper, sorry. Shorekeeper's creation made me mad. Why? wide open.
I don't think Abby having a different form is relevant since Shorekeeper referred to Abby as a specific frequency. I mean, yeah, sure. I'm not saying that it's necessarily relevant in terms of like where Abby was per se. I think more so it's just the fact that Abby is a frequency. I mean, it's an echo right now. So was Abby at one point not an echo and just a creature?
A dubious little creature.
Imagine if Abby is the goddess herself.
That would be interesting.
That would be wild.
That would be very
So
interesting.
I can't believe we sacrificed 10,000 years of Mobius loop data of the Lich for Shorekeeper. Oh my gosh. I mean, who knows? Like, maybe Rover thought about it and was like, look, if I consider my memories not to be that important, then maybe it's best that maybe those 10,000 years aren't as important.
Abby is alpha in condensed form. Interesting thought.
Is what?
Abby is alpha in condensed form.
Do you know?
Yeah, I know from PGR.
Yeah, subject is just trolling. What if they were all wrong and Abby isn't even an echo at all? I mean, yeah, it's possible.
Right.
Is the visual of Earth and saving light video accurate? Because then the theory would fit visually, at least.
Well, should we jump?
Oh,
over to
yeah,
there?
yeah. No, yeah, I feel you. I mean, yeah, it seems like it's accurate. That 100% seems accurate.
I could be a saving.
All right, so y'all, let me get to my Genshin Hope Core part of the conversation. All right?
Let's get there because
Let's get to the Genshin.
You
Hope Core.
probably have more to say on that than me.
I believe Genshin is going to get better. Okay, I think Genshin is actually about to go into the future.
The future.
The future. No, seriously though, I feel like Genshin's actually about to get much more focused. I mean, obviously Not Cry, like literally they basically said Not Cry, the purpose of it is to tie up a lot of loose ends in a sense so the story can move forward, right? But even more so than that, competition being one reason, because of the fact, gosh, this is hard to say while this is on screen.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me get to the point that we were talking about.
It's probably towards
It's at the end, right? Yeah. So if we get to this part, right, where you got, Gion coming from the sky, breaking the sky, comes down, does his thing, looks awesome.
It's like, haha, you want to pull for me, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, bam.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, like it looks like Earth. I mean, it doesn't have to be Earth, but I mean, like it's basically Earth. I mean, it could be whatever they want it to be fair, but
Whatever
it's basically Earth.
Genshin getting better is the most copium I heard.
It's the most copium I had in my life, and it was repeated for 5 years. Listen. I could be wrong. But this is my reason. Okay, let me switch to.
It's a blue planet. It ain't Earth. That ain't Earth. We only see a portion of it though. We see like less than a quarter of it. JD, just be fair.
It's the third planet from the sun, y'all.
Like we can't even see
Earth.
land. You're right, but there's so many clouds, and there's only a quarter of the Earth that we can even see.
I'm about to say, Genshin used to do these things. I don't think they do them anymore, though, do they?
What, the things we were watching earlier?
Yeah, like I remember there was one of like Albedo back in the day.
Albedo? They had one for like music from like Leeway or Dragonspine or things like that.
Let's see, where?
They're just few and far between. Also,
True.
Honglong is an IRL region of China. Yes, it is. Oh, I meant it's called Sol 3 as a Solaris 3, as in Earth is the third planet from the sun. So it is. Yeah, like there is Earth, JD, because there wouldn't be anything to step on otherwise. Kuro didn't want to get copyrighted by Earth.
Yeah, that's funny.
That's funny. Genshin is dead. Horse stealing money from his own. Dang. You got some serious words.
I'm trying to see, where would I go for that? Do I literally have to just type in like
music something trailer? I don't know, man.
Yeah, because I remember there was one like memories or melodies of something.
What's POC again for Genshin? Nod Cry would be good. They don't have to do POC anymore, which is what they always mess up.
Oh, people of color.
Oh, okay. That's just making sure it was the same thing. No, that's kind of sad to say. Honestly, I kind of hate that.
Let's see.
That sucks.
Albedo.
I wonder if each planet of the civilization, a rover accompanied by a group of sentinels was dispatched. Solaris is just being one of the planets. Maybe. It's like they have teams. Will we be going to space? Also, the timeline thing confuses me. Space would be fun. I would like space.
Yeah, I don't know how to find it. I forgot what they're called.
You cannot find it.
I forgot what they were called. EP? Genshin Impact EP? Oh, okay.
Do that.
Genshin Impact Albedo EP. There we go. Better.
The POC thing is why I'm coping Western companies tri-character collectors, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
EP. Let's see.
Hope Core, Cope Core, two sides of the same coin. Dang. Genshin getting better is the most cope. Yeah, I already said that one. Oh, hey, Ursine. Hi, Life. Long time no see. Hi, Miss Life. Hi.
Oh, shoot, Ursine. How you doing?
How you doing? Long time no see. Honestly, this is getting really hard to find. Like, you should just say EPs. Like, just get over it.
Yeah, if I just type in EP, maybe that'll give me a little more.
Give us something.
Okay, wait. EP, Genshin. Okay, here we go. This is the playlist for it.
Thank you.
So that works. That works.
Excruciating.
Yeah, that was a bit much, but see, where is...
Just let it play, honestly.
Yeah, I was, but here we go. I wanted to find this
Albedo one.
Albedo, because I like Albedo. Albedo's cool. Okay, so here's my Genshin Hope Core, everybody.
When it was still MiHoYo, everybody.
Here's my Genshin Hope Core, okay? I believe, but first of all, how are you doing, Ursine? Did you see Amanda Stream 2.2 chat mention your interview there?
Oh, that's nice.
Oh, that's so sweet.
That's so sweet.
I did not get a chance to see it. I've been so busy. I actually spoke with her. I've been speaking with her for the past couple of days. So, long story short, because people have been talking about, we'll have Amanda back on the channel. We will have Amanda back on the channel. It'll be a little bit later, but we will have Amanda back on the channel. But yeah. It was. She was really cool though. She was a really cool person. Look, by the way, if those of you who don't know who Amanda is, Amanda Rishel, voice actor for cartethiya. I'm gonna try to talk to some other voice actors as well. But yeah. So hear me out.
Here's the Hope